y'all have been getting on me for several years to do this, so we're finally going to bite the bullet and tune the 2020 Ram Rebel. This is going to be a two-part video. First part of this video, I'm going to talk through the entire process of how you pick up a tuner, the PCM swap, and the installation. Second part of the video is going to be the actual performance of it. There's going to be a lot covered in this, a lot of talking too. I apologize in advance, but I do want to demystify a lot of the process here. I want to make it as simple as possible so you all know what you're getting into. We went ahead and picked up the Trinity T2 programmer. So this is the Trinity or the DiabloSport tuner that has a nice screen on it. There is also the Intune, which is a little bit cheaper. It doesn't have the nice elaborate screen on there, but I figure if I'm going to do it, let's do it, let's go big. So I went ahead for a couple $100 more, picked up the T2. This also allows us to roll custom tunes, and we'll get to that down the road. So the process is really simple. When you go on the website, you have two different options. One, you could buy the PCM swap kit with this tuner, or you could buy the PCM replacement kit. I went with the PCM swap kit. So the swap kit's a couple $100 cheaper, and I didn't really see any sort of value in keeping or hanging on to the factory PCM once we start tuning. So there's really no need for it down the road. So the way the PCM process works, you go ahead and you buy your tuner, right? You buy your tuner as part of the PCM kit. They'll ship the tuner out to you directly. In the instructions for your tuner, you get a link, and in that link you fill out some information regarding the tuner, as well as the VIN and program number of your factory PCM. So that's right on this sticker here. My factory PCM has the same sticker, just different numbers. Once you fill that out, then that'll start the PCM shipment process, and they'll send you this new or this unlocked PCM in the mail, even before they received your factory PCM. Once you receive the new PCM, you have 14 days to complete your tuning process and get this guy activated and installed in your truck, and to get your factory PCM back, boxed up, shipped out. So this comes in a really nice box. I'll just throw the factory PCM back in there, and it comes with a prepaid shipping label. So the whole process is very easy, but again, the process is super simple. You end up with the tuner, fill out paperwork, you get your new PCM, you run the tuner, swap PCMs, ship the old PCM back, and then you have a lot of fun running your new DiabloSport tuner. So that is how the whole process works from start to finish. Let's go ahead and dive into the product itself, the installation, and we'll see how this guy performs. All right, so here's everything that comes in the Trinity T2 kit. Obviously, you get the tuner itself, so it's a really nice wide display, pretty low profile, so it's gonna fit nicely on the A-pillar once I get the new bracket. You come with a suction cup mount, so these are okay for temporary installs. I don't like suction cup mounts. I think they look tacky. So what we're going to be doing is replacing it with, Holley makes a plastic mount that attaches right to the factory A-pillar on a factory bolt, so no drilling, and it makes it look nice and kind of keeps it tucked up out of the way, but also nice and visible. You get your OBD interface cable, so this is going to plug into your OBD port, and then the HDMI cable here is going to plug right into the back of the tuner. And that's how you share the information between the tuner and the vehicle. You obviously need that. You get your a cord so you can connect the tuner itself to your computer. So go ahead and plug it in and make sure you're running the most recent version or software updates on the tuner. A lot of times these things are sitting on the shelf, and they'll push out patches and updates throughout the year. Don't tune your truck until you update it. Because again, you got to trust that Holley's going to give you the latest and greatest software, so make sure that it's running that before you do anything with your vehicle. It makes life a lot easier. Also, Ram has done a very good job at making these trucks super difficult. Not only do they require us to unlock the PCM, but they also require this little guy. So this is a security bypass module. So what this is going to do is allow us to access it's going to allow us to interface with the vehicle without having to deal with any sort of security or firewall blocks. So I'll show you how to install this, but it installs just like the Taser DT, which a note, I believe the Taser DT can also be used as a security bypass, just like this little module, but for the sake of simplicity in this video, I went ahead and unmarried my Taser DT, and we're just gonna use what comes in the kit. So this does already come with the Trinity T2. So let's go ahead and hop in the vehicle, get that security bypass installed, and take a look at this tuner fired up and starting to pull those factory tunes. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do before we do anything with the tuner, which I already just went ahead and suction cupped it to the windshield so we could see it on the camera, and I have the cable loosely installed. It's not plugged into the OBD yet. But first thing we need to do is install the security bypass. So I went ahead up underneath the truck, and I already unplugged the security bypass. You got the wires right here. So if you are underneath the dash, it's really hard to get a camera in there, but there's a metal bracket right about here. Just on the back side of that is the security module, and there's two plugs on there. You just push the tangs are on this side, push them and pull them straight down, and you end up with 2 plugs here. So you don't want to start the truck with those things unplugged, but what you're going to want to do then next is go ahead and unplug these guys right into the security module. If you are running this tuner constantly, you're going to want to leave this guy installed. It's not going to have any impact on the truck other than allowing you to make those modifications without having any sort of security issues. All right, so the security bypass is installed. The truck is not on. Factory PCM is still in the truck. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and plug in the tuner to the OBD port. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, we are plugged in, and that is turning the tuner on. So now what we're going to do is follow all of the on-screen prompts here. It's going to tell us to turn the vehicle on and off. And all we're doing in this step is pulling the factory tune off of the factory PCM so that when we install the new PCM, we could push the factory tune back to that. That's how your PCM is going to be merged or synced with your vehicle. So let's give it a few seconds while it fires up. So Trinity tuner. All right, so now once you get to the home screen is super active. You can do a whole bunch of settings, but we want to stay on point here. So the first thing we're going to do is hit tuning, and it is getting vehicle information. So now a whole bunch of funky stuff is going to happen to the vehicle, and then ultimately it's going to tell us to hit this to run, but let's give it a few minutes to catch up. Now this is the process where you're going to really want to take your time. You don't want to rush it. Make sure you have plenty of time to do this at home so you're not trying to rush a project in between doing errands and whatnot, because if you do this partially or if you don't leave yourself any sort of room for any issues that might possibly come up, then you're going to be in a rush. All right, so now it's telling us to put the engine to run. So we're not going to start the engine. It says do not start the engine, but it says put it in run. So I'm going to hit this once, hit it twice. We're good to go. Hit the screen. The screen's extremely responsive, so we're good to go there. Now what's going to happen is things are going to light up, things are going to change. You're going to hear a lot of clicking, but it's basically this guy communicating with the PCM. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on here. All right, ooh, that's a nice one. But so now it's telling us to turn the vehicle off. Let's press go. Now it's going to tell us to turn it back on. Let's hit start. So there's a lot of back and forth on all of this stuff, but this is all part of the tuning process. So factory data retrieved. Please install the unlock ECU or contact customer service. Press OK to continue. So now we already went ahead. So now we pulled off the stock PCM program. So now where we're at is we're going to turn this off. I don't know what it's going to do there, but then we're going to turn the vehicle off, and we're going to install the new PCM. All right, once you pop your hood over by your battery, that's where you're going to find your PCM. There's going to be 2 clips on here, and they're going to have a little safety pin here, so you got to pull the safety pin up, and then as you pull these handles out, it's going to release these plugs from the actual PCM. Then there's going to be 3 8mm screws holding this on. I believe there's 2 on the inboard side and then 1 on the outboard side. Then you'll be able to pull this out, put in the new PCM, swap it out, and then we'll go back to tuning our truck. Okay, so I want to call out something because I hear a lot of folks breaking these clips, and I want to make sure you know how to easily remove these. If you look at the bottom of the metal clip, there's this little black like ridge thing. That's a clip that's holding these red handles down. So all you need to do is gently push those in with a jeweler's screwdriver. That way they depress, and you can easily pull these handles up. I see a lot of people try to force them up or try to do it with just one finger. Just use a jeweler's screwdriver to push it all the way in so it totally clears the clip and pull it up, because you could break the clip and then you have to play that game of, all right, well, if I plug this back in, is it going to fall out and my vehicle going to be dead in the water? So use a jeweler's screwdriver. It works on both of these. They're good to go. Both of them have been removed now. So now the next thing we're going to do is undo the 8mm bolts. So there's one here, one down below there, one up here, and then swap this out with our new PCM. So let's go ahead and do that and get back in the vehicle and fire up the tuning process again. After you replace the PCM, then you want to go ahead and reinstall your negative battery cable, and we are done in the engine bay. So we'll get this guy out of the way. We will close, make sure we got all the tools. Then we will close the hood, and let's hop back in the engine. It is time to push the tune back into the PCM. All right, so just like we did when we had the factory PCM, everything is off at the moment. I just opened the door, that's why the screen is on there. But what we're going to start with is we're going to plug the T2 back in, and then again, we're just going to follow the on-screen prompts, because this should be able to automatically start where we left off by pushing the factory tune into the truck. So let's go ahead and get it plugged in. All right, the OBD is plugged in. Trinity's firing up here, and let's just see what happens next here. So let's see. So it's going to open up to the main screen once it gets through all of its splash screens here. And just like we did before, we're going to want to go to Tune. So I'm going to hit Tune. Now it's gathering vehicle information. A lot of waiting around when you do tuning. So there's a lot of pushing tunes in, waiting, everything triggering, everything reading. So just, again, be patient. Trust the process, follow the on-screen prompts, and read the instructions 17 times before you actually do this whole install, or just watch my video. All right, now it's going to tell me to turn the vehicle to the on mode. All right, it's on. I'm going to press this. All right. StabiliTrak. Like I said, your dash is going to light up like a Christmas tree when all this stuff is pushing. Have you updated? We recommend you updating your device. Yes, I did. So for the time being, updating, we'll skip that because it is already updated. That's just a formality. All right, so now I'm going to tune the vehicle. We're going to go with, let's see, we'll go with 87 octane. Transmission tune, modify stock tune. Why not? Press continue to begin reading your vehicle's factory data. Continue. All right, so now this is where it's just going to start lighting things up. See, and it's pushing the tunes for not only the PCM, but also the TCM, so the transmission control module, as well as the powertrain. So it's saying turn the vehicle off. Let's turn the vehicle off. All right. PCM original backup. Preparing modified ECU has been updated with nice. That's good. Hit continue. More lights. Even more lights. All right, so this is where it's going to get kind of lengthy. So we're at 6% now, 7%. So we'll probably fast forward through this process because this is really boring and not really good footage. All right, so we're almost done with the PCM tuning here at 90%. And then it should probably go into the TCM tuning shortly after this. All right, I'm going to turn the engine off. Press the screen. All right. Turn it back on. Again, make sure you're double tapping this, not accessory. You're actually in run. Here goes the TCM portion now. So now it's going into my transmission saying, hey, we're going to fix all the stuff that RAM messed up by tightening up shifts. And this is part of the fun of these tuners is when you do the TCM update on these things, the shifts are going to feel great. Even if you're not running that performance one, if you're just running a slightly modified stock tune, which is what I'm going to run, it's not like you're going to be driving a race truck after this, but it is going to feel really firm when you're hammering on it and you're skipping through the gears. It's going to feel nice clean shifts. All right, so we are just about done with the TCM tuning. This one took a lot longer than the PCM. This probably took about 5-7 minutes to go all the way from 1 to close to 100% here. I suspect lights are going to start flashing, and it's going to tell me to turn the engine off in a second here or turn that button off. But let's see. So 97, you can see it's just slowly ticking away. But again, you got to be patient with this process. 99. And we are good. Would you like to install the tune as is, or would you like to customize the tune by modifying adjustable parameters? Let's customize, because there were certain things that I wanted to turn off. So basically what that did, what I think it did, is it pulled the tune, it put the tune inside the programmer itself, looked at it, made sure it mapped it out properly, and then there's certain things that you could modify. So disable this tutorial, MDS. So this is the when it goes down in 4-cylinder mode, I want to turn that off. So hit save. Let's see here. I don't know the exact size of my tires right now, so we'll come back and do that one later. Throttle, I took my throttle controller off. Let's see. Increase throttle, is this percentage? What can I go up to? I think 18% is what it goes up to. Nope. Ooh, goes way up there. 20. That's not going to happen. We'll give it 5%. Or 5. Save. I think that is all I'm going to mess with for now. I will come back later and adjust the tires once I have the exact size. I don't remember that. But for the sake of keeping this video going, let's go ahead and hit install. So we're going to turn off 4-cylinder mode. We're going to give a throttle booster 5%, 87 octane tune, and then a modified tune. Let's rock and roll. All right, so I turned the camera off there because it was taking a while. So now that the tune is starting to push through, now it's telling me to turn it off. We'll turn it off. Touch the screen when I'm ready. So now it's starting to push the tune into the truck. Now we're going to turn it back on. This is the fun part. But again, all of this takes time, so just be super patient with everything. PCM 87 Octane writing. Now turn the truck off. Your vehicle has been successfully tuned. Press continue to return to the main menu. All right, so now we're good. So now what I'm going to do, just out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to turn the truck off, open the door, let everything go to sleep, come back in, turn it on, fire everything up just to double check that everything's good. I don't have any sort of lights other than a check engine light right now, but that's because the engine's not on. So I'm going to fire the truck up in a bit after I let everything go to sleep, and then we'll test everything out. But that is how you push your tunes from the Trinity into your new PCM. So let's go ahead and get everything situated, cleaned up here, and then what I'll do is I'll also install that new bracket because that just came as well. All right, so I spared you the boring details, but I went ahead, shut everything off, let the vehicle go back to sleep, and then turn it on. Truck is on, truck is working, functioning perfectly fine. I got no lights on the dash. That's always exciting after a process like that. But now we're good to go. Now everything is running, and I'm running the new tune. So I can make some final adjustments and everything. Again, I want to readjust the tire size, make sure my speedometer is right. But if I hit the gas, one of the things they say is check, make sure that when you hit the gas, your RPM does fluctuate proportionally, right? Sometimes you can end up with a dead pedal, but everything's good. The brake works. I don't know what that one issue was there or one notification, but it appears it has fixed it now. So what I'm going to do here is we'll correct my tire size down the road. But the next thing we're going to do here is to finish up the whole install is clean this up. I don't want this sitting right there. What I want to do is install the bracket that came to install this and not use a suction cup. So what you'll do here is remove this little panel here, remove the bolt, and then Holly makes a bracket. And it's actually metal, and I'll show you it in a second. But it's a bracket that bolts right here, and then it moves your tuner just a little bit out of the corner there so that everything's up out of the way. It's not sitting right in front of you here, and you don't need to use a suction cup. Okay, so I mentioned I have a different bracket, and this is the bracket here. So this basically replaces that little plastic panel. Now, in full transparency, I thought this was a plastic bracket, but it's solid aluminum. So that's awesome. It's not going to chatter at all. So this comes with the bracket itself. You get an extended bolt because what you're going to want to do is have a nice solid bolt attaching this to the A-pillar. And then you get a new bracket that will attach to the ball mount here, which clips right into the back of said tuner. All right, so we got our bracket completely installed, and I will say it is totally worth the extra 45 bucks, I think, to get the bracket for this instead of using the suction cup. It's a nice solid mount. Like I said, it's aluminum, and it really fits nice and flush, and it looks damn near factory. So all I had to do is pull off the little panel on the bottom section here, and then there was a 10mm bolt behind there. Pulled off that 10mm bolt, put the bracket in place, replace it with the hardware that came with the bracket, just tighten everything down. And then as far as the wire, I'm keeping it kind of simple for now until I figure out a better solution, but basically the wire drops down behind the tuner, it travels all along the edge here and then tucks into the weather stripping, at which point drops into the dash, bundles up, and zip ties down. Oop, bumped it. So anyway, it's in a nice location, looks really good. But that concludes all of the installation processes of the tuner. So let's go ahead and get out, and I'll walk through it one more time, last thoughts. And like I said, this is part one of part two. Part one of a two-part series in that we are installing the Trinity T2, doing a PCM swap, and then in part two, I will give you some of my thoughts as far as how the PCM and the TCM tuning turned out. And specifically right now, we're only talking about can tuning. All right, battery died on me yesterday, so we're going to close out the video today during this really foggy day. So anyway, top 5 takeaways from this install. The overall install is super easy to do, but first and foremost, be patient with the process. Like I said, and like you'll see in the video, there's a lot of back and forth between turning the truck on, turning the truck off. Just follow the on-screen prompts. Trust that this thing is going to guide you the right way through the whole tuning process. I know it's a little intimidating, but trust the screen prompts because they are super easy to understand, and the whole process is very simple as long as you're not rushing through it. Number 2, when you undo the battery, when you disconnect the battery on these trucks, sometimes you will lose features in your Uconnect temporarily. So after I plugged in the battery, plugged in a new PCM, got everything running for about an hour and a half, I didn't have my reverse camera, which is a typical one. I also didn't have my climate controls functioning. I could get access to the climate controls hitting the buttons, but they wouldn't adjust, and I had to adjust them on the screen. After about an hour and a half of driving, they did ultimately come back, but be patient with that. You will lose some features temporarily sometimes when you're undoing the battery, and that's not because you're tuning, it's just because the way these trucks lose memory. Number 3, get the mount for your Trinity T2. I absolutely love this mount. It keeps it nice and tucked up on the dash, but it's very easy to see everything, and it looks awesome. So for 45, 50 bucks, you get this nice metal clamp that looks factory on the actual tuner itself. So it's a very good look, and like I said, I have that wire tucked in around the corner there, and it tucks into the weather stripping. Very cool, looks nice, and easy to read from the driver's seat. Number 4, hang on to that factory PCM until you are 100% positive everything is working as it should. Remember, you have 14 days to get that PCM back to DiabloSport, so they could credit you back whatever money that they're holding for you. Hold on to it. Make sure everything's working properly. Give it, 4 or 5 days or whatnot. You have some time. When I was missing some of the features, I started Googling things. I was like, oh, maybe it's a PCM error. In reality, it was just because I disconnected the battery, but in the event you run into any sort of PCM related issues, you still have it, because once you ship that PCM back, the second DiabloSport gets it, it's wiped. So it's basically not yours anymore. So hang on to it until you're 100% positive everything is working. Last but not least, number 5, don't underestimate the CAN tunes. And we'll get into this more in the next video, but they are a lot of fun, especially the TCM tuning. So I could feel a difference in the truck, and I'll cover all this in the next video, but don't underestimate the CAN tunes that come on these things if you didn't have any sort of tuning done in advance, or if you just have bolt-on parts. But with that said, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate the time. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, or anything about this whole product down in the description below. I appreciate you all watching my channel. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Have a good one. Bye.